Hey, greetings, fam. Hey, it's your brother G Hightower coming in on this wonderful hallowed night. The world calls it Halloween, but originally it was not Halloween, but it was All Saints Day. It was hallowed night. But like everything else, the enemy comes in and perverts it, takes something that was originally established by God and turns it into something evil. But the saints know what time it is. But listen, since this is a night where people are going through haunted houses and all that kind of stuff, I want to really ask you the question tonight. Are you afraid of falling in love again? I mean, come on, let's be real, y'all. Are you afraid to really give your heart to that relationship? Because many of us are masking our fear under God's purpose, God's timing, and we're using all of these wonderful, cute Christian colloquialisms. And the reality is, many of us, if we're honest, many of us are really struggling with fear. And so tonight, family, I'm gonna give you seven signs. Seven signs. Yes, get ready for these wonderful love nuggets with some extra barbecue sauce. I'm gonna give you seven signs that may identify a fear that you may be struggling with in a relationship. And listen, I'm gonna ask you all to please go ahead and help me share this broadcast. Come on, share it out, share it out. Hit that share button, and let's get some folks in here tonight because listen, I promise you, there are some people who are struggling with fear, and they're just in a place where they have not given themselves to they have not given themselves to really embrace the idea that fear is a struggle. And we keep on saying stuff like, in God's timing, I'm waiting on God. You're not waiting on God. God is waiting on you. Listen, ma'am, sir, if you haven't been out on a date and you've been single for 5 years, you're not waiting on God. I promise you, God is waiting on you. God is waiting on you to bust a move. God is waiting for you to be intentional and position yourself. Isn't it amazing that we will do everything? We will get on planes and travel to other states and even travel out of the country for a business opportunity, for a ministry engagement. We will do all kind of stuff. But when it comes to our love life, we get extremely conservative. We'll sit back and say, I'm waiting on the Lord. You didn't wait on the Lord for that mission trip to Africa. You didn't wait on the Lord to go to that business venture in Dubai, huh? You didn't wait on the Lord to go on that vacation to Barbados. You got yourself on a plane. You got yourself on a ship, right? So the same thing is true about love. And I know a lot of us said, well, Dr. G, you just don't know. I made some mistakes in the past. So this time I can't afford to make a mistake on my own. I can't afford to make a decision on my own. So that leads us to a lack of self-trust, right? So it's not even that I don't trust these men out here nowadays because these men is trifling. You can't trust them. Dr. G, I'm telling you, can't trust these men. The reality is, if you're honest, woman of God, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself to make good decisions. As one of my dear friends, who's an awesome businesswoman here in Atlanta, she says, Dr. G, I'm going to just be honest. She says, my hymn picker is broken. My ability to pick the right hymn is broken. And so I'll deal with that a little bit later. But listen, good evening, Sadira. Good evening, Bishop Joyce. Prophetess Cherie is in the building. Bless you, Prophetess Cherie. Good to see you. Listen, I need you all to go ahead and share this broadcast tonight. And do me a favor, family, if you will, drop 3 names in the comment section. Drop 3 names in the comment section, because what that does, it essentially tags people and brings people into the broadcast. So listen, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. The hour is late, and I know many of you, if you have children, you've done the whole trick-or-treating thing, or at least done some hopefully some holy version of that for your kids. A nice celebration. Churches have a lot of churches are calling it Harvest Night and things like that, to keep the young people engaged and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm gonna jump on into it. All right. So the first one I'm gonna jump into is something that I've already addressed before, but it certainly bears repeating. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Sadira. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate you all. Listen, the first one is something I've taught on before, but it certainly bears repeating because many people have not heard of it, especially in the church. And that is a term called philophobia. Philophobia. That is the fear of falling in love. Okay. Uh, when a person is struggling with philophobia, it's 99.9% of the time trauma based. It is something that either stems all the way back to your childhood or somewhere in your adolescent years when you were dating, or even in your relationships as an adult, or maybe even a marriage. And so, suffering through a bad breakup, suffering through divorce, being married and going through someone committing infidelity on you, even in your dating years, maybe in your high school or college, and you suffered through some hurt, or you observed a close friend or family member going through big time hurt, big time traumatic experiences, and it left an indelible impression on your soul, and it made you shut down. And either outwardly or inwardly, you made this statement: that will never be me. I will never trust my heart like that to a man. I will never fully trust my heart like that to a woman. And you've either inwardly made that statement or you outwardly made that statement, and words have power. And so when you say those words, you literally have shut down your soul from being open for a love connection. Yeah, you literally like flip the switch off on yourself. It's not God keeping you back from opportunities. You have kept yourself from opportunities because you're struggling with philophobia, which is the fear of falling in love. Um, let me break it down a little bit further of what this looks like, because a lot of us struggle with this, even though we might not identify it as philophobia. But a lot of us really struggle with this. So what happens with a person who's dealing with philophobia? This causes people to not want to engage. It causes people to be avoidant. So philophobia can absolutely lead to an avoidant attachment mindset or an avoidant attachment relationship level of engagement, where you do have a real human need that needs to be filled. You do enjoy companionship, but you don't like the process of having what you got to go through to develop a relationship. You don't like the process. And so people who are suffering from philophobia, when they feel somebody starting to get close, all of a sudden you'll push back. All of a sudden you'll want to go ghost. All of a sudden you'll want to abandon a relationship or sabotage a relationship. Nothing's wrong with this person at all. But you'll find yourself, Joyce, you'll find yourself in a place where you're pushing this person back. All of a sudden, you stop taking their phone calls. All of a sudden, you become unresponsive via text. And it's simply because you are shutting your soul down, your mind, your will, your emotions. You're shutting your soul down because you are fearful of being hurt. You don't want to allow yourself to fall in love because you're afraid that you're going to lose control. Mhm. Listen, and this is when you come here to Real Love Nation. Listen, this is the no judgment zone. Okay. So listen, no judgment here at all whatsoever. I'm sharing with you some things that are real. And unfortunately, the church doesn't teach us these things. And so, unfortunately, what happens, a lot of us find ourselves in situations and even situationships, and we don't have the right understanding. So now we're operating, the scripture says it like this, family, um, that my people are destroyed. The book of Hosea, my people are destroyed due to what? A lack of knowledge. So I'll put it in this context that relationships and marriages are destroyed due to a lack of knowledge. And watch this, family. The old adage to kind of go along with that is knowledge is power. But really, knowledge is not power. It is the proper application of knowledge that's power. Once we become knowledgeable about what a thing is and how it's been affecting me, I can take action to deal with that, right? But if you don't know, you can't possibly undo or improve what you don't know, right? Here we go. Love nugget number 2. Thank you, Cherie. Here we go. Love nugget number 2. I hope this is gonna really help some folk up in here tonight. Um, Love nugget number 2, talking about 7 signs that fear may be keeping you single. I'm gonna follow up with philophobia. And there's another phobia. It's called gamophobia. Gamophobia, which is the fear of marriage or the fear of commitment. Now, watch this, family. Gamophobia is different than philophobia. Philophobia won't even allow you to extend yourself to be consistent and to show up and be consistent and engaged to even develop and cultivate a relationship, right? Gamophobia is different because gamophobia is actually the fear of allowing oneself to be committed. So when you hear people talk about, and usually it's women talking about men, these men got commitment issues nowadays. Men do not have commitment issues, ladies. In fact, I would probably say that men probably are equal to, if not better than women in the area of commitment. Oh, yes, because men will commit to certain things. But when it comes to love, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to family, those are the areas where we're extremely deficient when it comes to commitment. And that's not true for all men, but it is true for a lot, right? But men don't have commitment issues. Men build bridges, they committed to the cause of that bridge. Men are on ships, fighting in our military, protecting our nation. Men are flying in planes right now, 40,000 feet, and some, you know, are in outer space with satellites to help us to be able to predict tornadoes and storms and hurricanes and things like that. Men are, 2,000 feet underneath, well, not 2,000, that's quite a deep, quite a depth, but, 800 feet beneath the ocean, fixing oil wells and all that kind of stuff. Listen, our country, our world is built based on men. And so men obviously are committed to certain causes, right? So it's not, ladies, contrary to popular opinion, it's not men struggling with commitment issues. It's men that struggle with being committed to a marriage or giving themselves to being committed in a relationship. Ladies, I have learned that many women struggle with this as well. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know y'all think y'all think all women are just, no, when a woman is ready to be married, she da 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 da. I have seen women turn down proposals from good men, men that some of our sisters today would kill to have a man like that being committed to him, being committed to her. I've seen women turn down that man's proposal. What is she struggling with? She's struggling with gamophobia. All right. The fear of marriage, the fear of committing herself. Oh, yes. I've seen it. And then watch this. It's so amazing to me. One thing I love about women, man, women, y'all are 10 toes down with each other, man. The girls club is serious. Y'all like a whole gang over there. There's the Crips, there's the Bloods, and then there's women. There's 3 gangs in the world. Listen, and I literally got into a conversation online where yes, Adira, I literally got into a conversation online where um, there was a question asked, and ladies, I want you all to respond to this. Let's make this conversation active. Uh, the question was, if a man proposes to a woman and she rejects the proposal, does that mean the relationship is over? Now, I want to hear from you, ladies. Let's do a quick little sidebar here, and we'll get back to our love nuggets on fear. But I want to do a little quick sidebar here. How many of you would say that the relationship doesn't have to be over? Or if you are understanding and compassionate about that man who went through great lengths to probably propose to you and certainly spent a nice chunk of cheddar getting that ring to get down on one knee and propose to you, how many of you would say that the relationship is over? Or how many would you say it doesn't have to be over? Now, almost unanimously, we as men said, yeah, the relationship would be over. And let me confess my mess. Hey, Miss Tasha, good to see you. Um, Tasha, thank you. See, this is a woman of God who is wifey. in waiting. Come on, Miss Tasha. This is exactly my thought, Miss Tasha. And so I'll confess to you all, listen, because I without compunction, I'm gonna keep it real at all times. Listen, I said, yeah, the relationship is definitely over for me. And the women came out against me and said, well, not against me per se, but some of the women were saying, a real man, this always just, I've learned to detox from these words. A real man would, it's coming from a woman, like you know anything about being a man. Ay, 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 caramba. Anyway, the women were almost unanimously saying that, a man should understand she's just not ready. So the relationship doesn't have to be over. Well, a real man, if he's not up in his feelings, he'll wait for her. A real man would understand if she's not ready, then it doesn't have to be no, it's just not right now. First of all, let me tell you about real men, since y'all don't know what real men think and how we feel, obviously, because you're trying to think for us. Let me help you understand. Most men, and you don't have to believe me, but I study these kind of things. This is what I do. So you can look up the stat for yourself. Most men fall in love with a woman. The average time is 88 days. The average time for a man to engage with and fall in love with a woman where he knows he at least has the potential to build an awesome life with that woman, 88 days for him to determine that. Conversely, it takes women approximately 133 days. Now, watch this. Most men are not proposing to a woman within 88 days. He just knows that he loves her, he's in love with her, and he absolutely sees the potential of them building a life together. Usually, most men who are very intentional and marriage focused, when he really loves that woman, he is proposing somewhere between 6 months to 18 months. Between 6 to 18 months, in that space, most men are proposing to that woman. Now, watch this. This man is courting you, ladies. Y'all going out on dates, especially, I mean, even for long distance relationships. Y'all going out on dates. That man is flying in and getting you flued out. He done spent money on you. He's taking you wonderful places. You all have met families and all of those wonderful things. You might even shared a holiday or two together with family. And so after all of that courting and all of that dating and all of that money spending and all of that traveling here, traveling there, and doing all of these wonderful things. And we won't even talk about the blended family situation where if he's involved with your children, like, wow, he's been communicating with your children. He's actively involved. Boom, your son is 10 years old. He's teaching him about football or teaching him self-defense and all of these wonderful things. This man is involved in your life. And that man spends a few $1,000s and gets you a ring and takes a knee. Ladies, you have every right to refuse the proposal. You don't have to get married to no man that you don't feel comfortable with marrying. Your spirit is not at peace. Cool. But also understand that we too have rights. It ain't just y'all. We have rights too. And we have a right, ladies, that if we've gone through all of that, spent all of this wonderful time, and we've invested all of this time and energy into you, and we done took a knee and proposed to you with a beautiful ring, if you say you're not ready, cool. But I am ready. I'm a marriage-focused man. And if you're not ready right now, listen, with the exception of a health issue, with the exception of I've got a huge responsibility in taking care of my parents or a special needs child or something like that, with the exception of those things, and those things are infinitesimally small things, not small things, but they're small in terms of real life concerns. With the exception of that, if a woman turns down a man's proposal, that means that she simply doesn't love him to that degree. And if she doesn't, it's cool. But the man has a right to say, yes, you know what? But I'm a marriage focused man. If you're not ready for me, it's cool. But deuces sideways. I got to go and find, because he that finds a wife, I've got to go find a woman who is ready to be committed to me right now. Not just a woman who wants a wedding, but I need a woman who's ready to be a wife. I need a woman who loves me. as I'm going to love her. I need a woman who's going to reciprocate back to me what I'm going to pour into her. I need a woman who believes in me and the vision that I have for us to have a phenomenal future. I need a woman who wants to be a beautiful, feminine, submissive woman because she's got an awesome masculine man who wants to provide for her and protect her and provide a wonderful life for her. So listen. Hey, Miss Tanisha, good to see you. My brother Ray Ross, grand rising to you, King. Blessings to you, Lady Denise. Mr. Deere said the man would need to move on and get what he deserves. Absolutely. Miss Tasha said, uh, that's definitely a conversation that should be had at the beginning before that man invests into the woman like that. It's not fair. He needs to make sure she even wants to be married. So, Tasha, these kind of situations, listen, marriage focused men are intentional. Now, this is not true across the board. Some men fumbled the ball because he didn't approach it the right way. He didn't have enough conversations to make sure that they were on the same page, that they were operating with one accord, right? He didn't do enough work. So some men move prematurely, right? But most men who are marriage focused men, listen, we've already had the conversations. We've already talked about the fact that we want to be married, that we are interested, we see the potential to build a future together. We've already had those conversations. Generally speaking, men ain't about to go drop $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 or more on a ring, and he doesn't have at least some inkling that we're on the same page. Most men are not going to do that. I just dropped $25,000 on the ring. This one brother who's a truck driver, he spent $8,000 on the ring. He got on one knee and proposed to her, and she just stood there staring at him. And she was like, oh my God, are you serious right now? They've been dating for a year and sleeping together for a year. $8,000. He didn't put it on credit. $8,000 cash money. $8,000 bought her a ring. She turned down his proposal. Brother was heartbroken, devastated. Devastated. All right, let's get back to these fears. Here we go. Love nugget number 3, talking about 7 signs. I'm not going to get through all of these tonight, family. I'm going to give you all 2 more and I'm going to retire. But I want to give you this one. This is a huge one right here. There's the fear of intimacy. The fear of intimacy. So a lot of people, and I find this to be true for both men and women. For men, when we're talking about the fear of intimacy, a lot of men associate intimacy with sex or physical affection. And so a lot of men may struggle with really trying to understand how to have intimate moments with his woman when that's not something that he's been trained to do, conditioned to do. It's something he's never learned to do on his own because his relationships have all been physically oriented, right? And so if a woman is not patient enough to help him understand, hey, baby, I love you. I absolutely love the ground that you walk on, baby. You're a bad brother. But I would like to have some intimate times with you that doesn't necessarily lead us to the bedroom, right? And so, ladies, you may have to be patient with that man and kind of teach him. Because, ladies, here's a hard pill that some ladies don't like to swallow. But it's a hard pill, but it's true. Ladies, you have to teach your man how to love you. Trying to teach no man nothing. I'm on the other side of 40. I'm on the other side of 50. I'm on the other side of 60. I ain't trying to teach a man nothing. A grown man should know what to do. He does. He just doesn't know what to do for you. He knows how to make love in the bedroom. He just doesn't know how to make love to you. All right. I'll give you a little simple one so we don't get too graphic. It's after midnight. I don't want people to have to go and take a cold shower. But here's a simple one. Something simple as, blowing in one's ear, right? There's some people that might absolutely get turned on and be ready to shoot to the moon. You start blowing in her ear. Some other woman is going to be irritated, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you blowing in my ear? Is a mosquito in my ear or something? Right? So you have to teach that man what you like. Teach him. Tanisha, I am not going there with you. Not going there with you. So you have to teach him. All right. So the fear of intimacy is really the fear of emotional closeness. It's the fear of being vulnerable. And again, this is true for both men and women. I find that with some women, because they've had their heart broken and they don't want to ever suffer that emotional pain, that soul wound, then some women will not be emotionally vulnerable at all in a relationship. So we may enjoy going out on dates. We may enjoy having deep conversations, but that woman does not want to open herself emotionally to have deep, intimate moments because that level of vulnerability makes her susceptible to having her heart broken again. And so a lot of women will just say, I'm not trying to go there. I'm not, nope, nope. Been there, done that, got a t-shirt and a hat. Ain't trying to go back again. I get it. And men in the same way. A lot of men struggle to ask a man to be vulnerable. In some ways, ladies, it's oxymoronic for us because if you consider the fact that our God ordained position as men is to be a protector for our woman. So when you're asking a man to be vulnerable, for most men, it clicks in our head like, okay, that's an oxymoron because on the one hand, you need me to be a covering and a protector for you, but then you're also asking me to be vulnerable, which by definition means to be open and susceptible to attack. How can I be your covering and your protector and at the same time be open and susceptible to attack? It's like, yeah, I ain't trying to do that. So most men won't go there, especially if he does not know. Watch this, ladies. He can trust you with his bank card. He can trust you with the keys to his house. He can trust you with his car, his truck, all that. He doesn't know yet if he can trust you with his heart. But I do all of this for this man. I do this, I do that. Boom, boom, boom. We have sex. We doing everything. I do everything like a wife. Da 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 da. But he still doesn't know if he can trust you with his heart. And he may have had his heart broken, and he just hasn't been able or been willing to address that yet. So patience is necessary because, ladies, just like we have to earn your trust, for a lot of men, you got to earn our trust too. He's been through pure hell. He was married to a woman that he was an outstanding provider for. And she decided one day to walk away. No infidelity, no abuse, no neglect, no nothing. She just got tired and she wanted something new. She got tired and she outgrew him. I make more money than him now. I want better. And she walked away and they got divorced and then took half his stuff. Brokenhearted, devastated. It happened to my dad. Never wants to experience that again. So, ladies, if you connect with a good man who might be a bit reticent to really get in there on an emotional level and build that intimacy, you have to be patient with him, pray with him, and walk with him through it. Because I promise you, ladies, you earn that man's trust and he gives you his heart. When a man gives you his heart, ladies, he'll give you everything. There's nothing. Men will move heaven and earth to do whatever he's got to do for you, as long as he knows he can trust you with his heart. This is what the virtuous woman does, ladies. Read that scripture now, right there in Proverbs 31. How is this one? How is this woman a marketplace maven? How is she a real estate mogul? How is she a woman that got a whole staff of other women that work at her house so she can delegate responsibilities and then boom, go out there and be an awesome businesswoman? How is she able to do that? And her husband is not by her side. Her husband is operating in his purpose. He's serving with the rulers of the city, making decisions for the whole city. How does this woman do all this stuff? The Bible says, for the heart of her husband safely trust in her, for she shall only do him good and not evil all the days of his life. You know what, Tasha? I'm going to go 50-50 with you on that. Wonderful woman of God. I'm going to go 50-50 with you on that one, Tasha. The relationship is an intangible, right? So the relationship in and of itself is not work per se. There's work involved in it, but it's not work per se. The relationship just requires effort. The work is us. The duality of purpose is I've got to work on me and I've got to also work on you. And you've got to work on yourself, but you also got to work on me. We're a piece of work. Relationships and marriage. So when you hear people marry and say, "Oh, marriage is work, relationships are work," we're a piece of work. We're the work because the relationship is an intangible. It just requires effort, intentional, focused effort. But the work is us. Watch this, Tasha. I've got to do the soul work as a man to make sure that I not only have emotional intelligence, but I also have the emotional maturity to be able to manage your emotions so that when you come to me, then you want to unpack some of the baggage and some of the things that you've been through. I provide a safe space to help you so that I can pray with you. Since sometimes you don't need me to fix nothing, you don't need me to give you no scripture, you don't need me to do nothing, but just listen. You just need my chest that you can lay on so you can just pour out what you're feeling. You might need the coats. Oh, I know some of the saints can't handle this one. You might need you've been in such deep pain by some of the things that you've been through and you were horribly taken advantage of. You might need to just and get it out. Well, my emotional maturity, because I've done the soul work for myself, I can now bear the infirmities of my woman and let her pour out what she needs to pour out because that begins her healing journey. That's the work. It's the soul work. It's growing and acquiring not just emotional intelligence, but also emotional maturity. I know the saints don't like that. Oh, we the saints of God. We ain't supposed to be cussing, baby. Please, you just ain't been through enough yet. Keep on living. These are the old folks used to tell us, Prophetess Cherie, Prophetess Sadira, Bishop Joyce, the old folks used to tell us, baby, keep on living. I would never, you can't say what you would never do. You can only say what you have never done. You ain't lived enough life yet, sugar. Keep on living. You'll see. There were some things I said I would never do. I would never do. When I was 21, when I was 30, there's a whole bunch of stuff I said I would never do. Baby, please, got up on the other side of 40 and went through a painful divorce. Oh, yes, I found out. I did some stuff I thought I would never do and did it again and again in the den of sin. Woo! Help us, Holy Ghost, my God. Thank God for his mercy and his grace. Oh, yeah, Miss Tasha. Yeah. If he's not sure he believes it. Well, first of all, if a person says, I'm not sure I believe in God, that statement alone is saying I don't believe in God. Right? Because you believe in gravity, right? You believe ain't no such thing as I'm not sure I believe or not. No, you either do believe or you don't. And if you're not sure, then you don't. Is that you believe in gravity? You don't? Walk your tail up off that 10-story building. You believe in gravity, right? We believe in gravity. We believe in water, right? So you just don't believe in God, and that's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I'd rather you be honest and tell me that up front. All right, let me give y'all this the last one, and I'm gonna retire for the night. Y'all come back tomorrow, and I'll give y'all some more. All right, this one is a huge one too. Um, hmm. This one is a huge one. Um, fear of judgment. Fear of judgment. Um, it's amazing how becoming seasoned in adulthood, and when I say seasoned, I mean for those who are on the other side of 40, because until you hit 40, you've done a lot of great things in life, especially for those who have served in the military. Shout out to all of our men and women served in the armed forces. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for protecting our country. Those people are exceptional because they've traveled around the world and they've been put in situations that many of us could never even fathom in our finite minds. You don't even know, you can't even fathom what it's like to be on a submarine and be 800 to 1,000 feet underneath the ocean and be at sea for 6 months at a time on a battleship, on a destroyer, on a cruiser. You can't even fathom what that's like. Now, you never served in the military, you don't know what it's like to be 6 months away in Afghanistan or Iraq or in some jungle. You can't even fathom what that's like if you've never had that experience. So people who have been through military experiences, they tend to mature and have a deeper knowing in their spirit and their soul about what they want and what they don't want. Conversely, those of us who haven't lived enough life yet, we've got to have some life experiences and hopefully some travels so that you really come into a full understanding of your purpose and what you want in life. So that said, many people struggle prior to the age of 40 of really needing, really coming to a place of judgment. And I find that people who are fearful of being judged are people who um, they also lack faith. But the fear of judgment is because they've either grown up in an environment where they were always harshly criticized, they were ridiculed, they grew up in a religious environment where everything was a sin. You know, no, you can't go there. That's a sin. You can't go there. No, you can't do that. No, you can't play this. You can't play that. Don't play no worldly music. Hey, I don't even want you playing marbles. We can't play marbles. Yeah, you can't play marbles because the Bible say marble not. You know, it's like can't do nothing. Everything is a sin. And so people who grow up in those very strict, harsh, judgmental environments, they become fearful of being judged in a relationship. And so they will be very hesitant to do anything that's outside of their norm. They'll be very reluctant. They may really enjoy you as a person, Joyce, Sherry. They may really enjoy you as a person, but outside of what they know in this little small box, they ain't trying to do nothing that's going to move them out of their comfort zone, Sean Dawson, because you know what? I'm not comfortable with that. Have you ever tried it? Well, no, I never tried it, but I don't know. There was one lady friend I dated years ago who I loved and adored her dearly. She has an absolute fear of getting on planes. I wanted to, for us to spend some time together. But the job that I had when I got here to Atlanta, I worked that job 6 days a week. I can't go nowhere on the weekends. I work half the day, if not all day on Saturdays. So I couldn't get on a plane and go fly. So I said, hey, I can take some time off, but I just can't get on a plane and fly out. But hey, I'll fly you in. Come here, boom, boom, boom. We can spend the weekend together. Whole grown woman with a PhD. Never been on a plane, never been on an aircraft. Mm, I take that back. I'm sorry. She'd been on a plane once and the flight had tremendous turbulence and she ain't been on a plane ever since. So I didn't judge her. I just said, okay, cool. I understand. And so we just decided that we're going to be just friends because like, okay, hamburger, if I can't fly you here for us to spend time together, I mean, like, how are we going to work this out? But being judged, a lot of us have been in very strict, very harsh, very critical. I find this to be true among affluent families, highly educated families, and of course, religious families. And so, if you come from affluence, if you come from a family well educated, educators, high achievers in sports and entertainment, If you're the low person in the family on the totem pole who's not as talented as your big brother or your big sister, not as gifted as your middle brother or your middle sister, you may find yourself constantly under the microscope. And many people who are like that will struggle in their relationships because they have a fear of being judged. So they won't try things new. They will be very reluctant to do anything outside of their comfort zone. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, Sean. So listen, if that's a struggle for you tonight, uh, please, if any of the things that I've mentioned to you tonight, if they are a struggle for you, please reach out and send me an email. reallovenation@gmail.com. That's reallovenation@gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll be glad to respond to it. Somebody sent me an email today, so I'll be responding to that tomorrow with regards to how do you know when you're ready to love again after divorce. So I got you. I may even come on tomorrow and do that topic. How do you know if you're ready to love again after divorce? I may even come on tomorrow and do that. All right. Would y'all like that? Throw up an 8 in the chat if you would like me to cover that subject tomorrow. How do you know if you're ready to love again after divorce or after the loss of a loved one? Throw an 8 in the chat if y'all would like me to address that tomorrow, and I'll consider tackling that topic. All right. Got a couple of 8s. Got a couple of 8s. All right, family. Well, listen, I'm going to retire. Thank you so much, Prophetess Cherie. I so miss you. Michelle Hall has been doing a phenomenal job in your stead as my scribe at midnight. But thank you, Prophet Cherie. I so appreciate you, and your presence is missed, woman of God. Your presence is missed. All right. All right. So we got a few 8s. Prophet Cherie said, yeah, Dr. G, I need you to really cover that. Yeah. Matter of fact, 88, 88, 88. All right. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, Queen Labora. All right. So listen, I love y'all. Have a wonderful night. This is your brother G Hightower, the Entanglement Coach, CEO of Real Love Nation. Have a wonderful night, y'all. And by God's grace, I'll see you back tomorrow. Blessings.